is steering at his brother now.
Welcome everybody to round number 7 of the Formula 1 season. We are here at Azerbaijan for the Baku City Street Circuit race, and let's get straight into all of the news and breakdown of this weekend. We're starting things off over at Jaguar, and they are absolutely furious with comments that Nico Hulkenberg has made over on his Twitter account. Apparently Hulkenberg's tweet mentioned Jaguar staff being lazy and, well, at their job. I mean, you can kind of see what the other word is from there. But yeah, now obviously we didn't get a chance to get into contact with Nico Hulkenberg and find out whether these tweets were legitimately his, whether they were an accident, whether, you know, he was at a party and someone else had his phone, or whether he was hacked or whatever. We're not 100% sure, but no matter what, obviously, Jaguar are absolutely furious, and rightly so. And obviously, when you go and tweet and start mentioning about your staff members being lazy and at work, you're going to get a lot of problems. Speaking of problems, Charles Leclerc has been removed from Ferrari's website. Now, there's been a lot of conspiracy about this. Of course, when Ferrari got fined for basically trying to forge the amount of points that they had from last season to try and get in front of Mercedes, Leclerc backed up Ferrari and was like, look, you know, whoever's done, you know, Mercedes, FIA, sort yourselves out, this is ridiculous. Charles Leclerc then didn't realise that Ferrari actually, in their evidence, submitted extra points. And Leclerc got very confused by this and was very unsettled with what Ferrari had done. Is this the same reason as why now he's been removed from their website, or again, just another issue, technological side of things? It's something to take note of. And then, of course, another thing that's been taken note is Tom. He's taking notes of the comments that Reese made last week. Of course, Reese opened up about a variety of different mental health problems, whether that was from himself or for just other people in general. Of course, we've seen Reese get a lot of being attacked quite heavily in the media. When it came to George Russell departing from Mercedes last season, the media was on to Reese attacking him for making George Russell leave in the first place. Reese obviously denying that. And then, of course, the media were attacking Reese again for the issues with Mercedes about to protest if the FIA decided to punish them for what Ferrari have come up and said. And of course, Tom, just being, I guess, the family member that anyone else would be out there, taking care of his family and just trying to see if Reese is okay after everything. Now, having a look at the race news then for today's Grand Prix, Mercedes-Benz have the edge with their straight line speed advantage. It's clear to see throughout the entirety of the season, Mercedes have got the best power unit, and we can tell that obviously on the streets of Azerbaijan, where straight line speed is key, it's something that's working in their favour. Renault have made some upgrades to the floor of their car. Now, Renault don't believe this is going to give them a huge amount in terms of overall performance on an entire lap, but they do believe it's a step in the right direction and are trying out lots of new different bits to put onto their car. Porsche have decided to change back to an older spec rear wing after their new one failed. Now, of course, the big problem that Porsche have had this season is it all started before pre-season even began. Porsche have had major reliability problems, which they seem to have cured after pre-season. The biggest problem is they spent so much time working on their durability that the performance side of things had no form of touch done to it. They didn't do anything. So of course, in order to counter that, Porsche then tried to put upgrades onto the car, but then, you know, this should have all been done during the pre-season, and it's just left them constantly so far back. They decided to put a new rear wing on for the last Grand Prix. It didn't work. They've gone back to the old one, and they're getting better results from it. So some things working, some things are not. And then Jaguar finally are unhappy with the tyre temperatures, claiming that they're too cold. So obviously around Azerbaijan, tyre warm-up is a massive thing, and if you can't get them in the working window, you're just going to struggle with them, and it seems it's something Jaguar are not happy about. But with that all being said and done, let's get straight into this race weekend. It's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Fox Studio back here with a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. And today we are back with another episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. And we're here for round number 7 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And as you can see in qualifying, it is dry tyres on a wet track. So it does mean as the session goes on, we're going to need to try and make sure that we're on the track at the right time in order to get the best possible lap as it is clearing up. And as you can see here, onto our second lap, we're already 3.7 seconds quicker than what we were previously. And we go and set a 1:42.5, which was the fastest lap at the time. But as you'll be able to see now on my final run, just coming up in a second here, we're currently 7.3 seconds up. And we're currently last at the moment, so we literally have to get a proper lap in as we cross the start-finish line then. It wasn't the best of laps, actually, from ourselves. It's only going to put us down in P7 on the grid. I tried to make sure I was the last car out, but unfortunately, I just didn't quite have the pace in qualifying. And we're going to have a look at the starting grid then and see how all of the teams do line up then. So as you can see then, it is Reese that is going to claim pole position ahead of Sam on the front row. And then it is Lewis Hamilton from Noah James. So Ferrari already with a better qualifying session than last time around. Mason Wood and Lando Norris round out the third row, both Red Bulls with a good qualifying themselves. We line up P7 just ahead of Charles Leclerc, who is in 8th on the grid. And then further back, then we've got Max Verstappen and George Russell lining up on the row behind us. Verstappen managing to get into the top 10. 11th and 12th is going to be the Renault team of Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo, with Ocon out qualifying his teammate. Pierre Gasly, another impressive performance in qualifying, 13th on the grid for him, ahead of Nico Hulkenberg in 14th. Then it's the two Porsche cars of Pascal Wehrlein and Nico Rosberg rounding up the next row. And then Lucas Weber in the Williams gets 17th ahead of Carlos Sainz in P18 for Ford. And then Valtteri Bottas finishes off in 19th place. And then Devon Butler last on the grid. So he clearly didn't get a lap in when it mattered, just as the end of the qualifying session came into its own. Having a look at the strategy then, it's a two-stop race, ultra soft, super soft, super soft. So let's get straight into it then and try and get some places off the start line. We've got 5 red lights here for the start of this race, and it is lights out. We go here to start the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. In some start, it's been a good start from Reese on pole position there. He gets himself up a position. We're going to go towards the outside line in towards the first corner and try and make an overtake early on against Lando Norris, but I think we're just about going to be squeezed out here. But as we go in towards turn 2, Norris does indeed outbrake us and go for the attack now. Mason Wood, and it's a 3-wide moment now as we go onto the straight here. We're just about trying to get out of the slipstream of Norris, and we do so now, making it a 3-wide scenario going in towards turn 3. This is going to get quite messy if we can't sort it out. Norris backs out. We get in front of Lando Norris, and that's 1 place gained at the start of the Grand Prix, and we can hold our own then. So we're up into 6th place now as Reese leads the Grand Prix from Sam, and then Hamilton in behind. Noah stays in P4, Mason Wood in P5, and we're down in P6, or we're up into P6, sorry, should we say now. As we're going towards the end of the middle sector here, you can see here that we're onto the back of Wood, and we're just getting ourselves ready to mount an attack now. We've got a little bit more straight line speed, obviously, than that Red Bull car, so we should be able to get a good momentum here as we now open up all of the engine modes that we've got available to us to overtake Rich Mix, and you can see that we're slowly but surely gaining on Mason Wood, just getting ever closer as that slipstream becomes even more powerful, up to towards 211 miles an hour, maxing out on the speed limit, down the inside and towards turn 1. It's a beautiful overtake there as we make the move stick and not go wide on the exit. And now as we go in towards turn 2, get a little bit deep into there, but it's all right. On to the end of lap 2 now. We're trying to catch up to Noah and Hamilton in front, but Mason Wood is still very close to us, in fact, on this run here. And in fact, he might just be in with range of getting an attack now on the straight. So we need to be very careful of this now as we make our way on through. You can see Wood there right behind us, in fact, and he's going to just go for the overtake straight away. So Mason Wood then returning the favour and getting straight back past us, and he's just breezed ahead. But now we're going to tuck back into the slipstream of Mason Wood and pull back to the inside line here. So nicking his slipstream now to make an overtake as Noah in front has a look at Lewis Hamilton for P4 on the grid, but we give Noah a very hefty squeeze on the outside there, and that forces him off the circuit. But of course, the corner line is mine, so at that stage, Mason had no choice, but he had to back out of it. Otherwise, he was going just straight up into the wall, because I have the right, obviously, to hold the line. It's Leclerc now with a very messy-looking Ferrari there. He's obviously had a couple of scribbles in there. Is now trying to overtake Lando Norris, which he doesn't end up doing. And then further back here, we've got the Renault of Ocon trying to make a move on Devon Butler here. as they now go, not Butler, sorry, George Russell, as they're going towards the end of the first sector here. Russell still just in front. Ocon now goes around the outside here. That's really close stuff here. And the two of these guys really have to sort out this attack before they get into the castle section, or it's going to get really, really messy as Russell tries to have a look on the inside of Ocon, and he makes it stick. Fair play to George Russell there. Some great racing early on then. As we go on towards lap 3 of the Grand Prix now, my team has recommended that we come into the pits at the end of this lap, so a super short stint on these ultra soft tyres. But I thought to myself, do you know what, let's just do it. Let's get straight off these tyres, let's go to a fresh set of super soft tyres and work our way back up the grid. Because of course, the likes of Reese and Sam and also Noah and Hamilton are currently in a slipstream fight. And I can't close that gap, no matter how fast my power unit may be. At the end of the day, if you're 9/10 of a second behind the car in front of you, and then you open up your DRS and you make that overtake, on that one straight you've gained over a second. So for me, it was completely pointless staying out there trying my hardest to keep up with them when I wasn't going to be able to. So we come in now, we get off of our tyres, we get onto a fresh set of super softs. We're going to rejoin Stone Dead last, but we've got nice clean air now, fresh tyres, and let's try and make them work and move ourselves up the order now. We're going to have a little look here at Reese now, who made his first stop of the Grand Prix, attacking the Ford cars and the Porsche cars. So I believe he's got Gasly and then Rosberg. I'm going to predict, but I could be completely wrong. And it's Sainz and Rosberg, so I was marginally wrong there. But Sainz there got a much better run compared to Reese then. So Sainz clearly using some better engine modes as Hamilton there rejoins out of the pits, and he's just behind Reese. Now, Reese and Sam were in some combat together, so whether Sam has stayed out a little bit longer or whether Hamilton's made the undercut work, what we can confirm is that there's a big scrap going on here, and Reese goes down the inside of Nico Rosberg and gets the move done on him and also on Carlos Sainz. As we look a little bit further back here, we're also having a look at one of the Audi cars attacking the Williams there, and we're just behind all of that. That's us there in the background, and we're going to go to it now here as we go for up the inside of one of the Williams cars into the middle sector, trying to make it stick ourselves, and we do so, and we make that overtake work very, very nicely as I believe that's Noah James did not get a good run in towards the castle section, and we'll break it nice and late down the inside and go for it on Noah. Of course, I knew that he'd have to break a little bit earlier because he was right on the back of Weber. And for us, of course, I was able to just make that move stick as we go on to the end of the lap now. Jeff, for some reason, wanted me to come into the pit to the end of this lap. I have no idea why. But yeah, he's probably a bit high. As we now are going to try and attack Lucas Weber here in the Williams car. You can see I sort of got my lines messed up through this left and right, since, of course, Weber just doesn't have the raw speed at the moment. But we're going to go around the outside of Lucas Weber and make that overtake stick. Noah James there just tucking in behind as we open up the DRS now. And we've actually got a great run here. We're actually closing on Devon Butler now. Look at the straight line speed that we've got here. Going towards Devon Butler, and we're just going to go for it. Around the outside of Devon Butler into the first corner. Side-by-side action between the two of us now. But we get better traction there and a double overtake on the straight. And that closing speed that we had on Devon Butler, clearly with the DRS there and with all the engine modes I was running, Butler stood no chance there. And Lewis Hamilton now is trying to overtake both of the two cars that Reese managed to get past of Sainz and Rosberg. We're now right onto the back of this pairing here. So we're now going to try and make our way on through. But I'm trying to have a look here at an overtaking spot on Nico Rosberg. Now, I've got two options here. One is into this corner, which I decided gates. And now one is going to be just towards this castle section now, this right-hander, where we got past Noah James earlier on. Rosberg, though, goes heavily defensive towards the inside line, but it's not going to be enough. I can still sneak my car through in there, and we do just that, and we get past Rosberg. Next up is Carlos Sainz, and then we've got Lewis Hamilton to deal with. So we're getting back into the mix then with these runners, and now we just need to keep pressing onwards, keep making these overtakes work for us, and we should be all good in this Grand Prix as we now follow on through for the rest of the lap, because of course we've got the DRS straight coming up. We've got both the Renault cars at the moment leading this Grand Prix, so it's a 1-2 at the moment for Renault. I believe, well, one of the cars though, and whichever one is currently in the lead, is actually a very long way ahead of us at the moment. He's got a massive gap, but of course, if they're doing the one-stop strategy, which I presume because they qualified outside the top 10, those two Renault cars are in for a treat if they can make it work for themselves. As for us, though, we're now making an overtake here on Carlos Sainz for what is going to be P9 in the Grand Prix, and opening up the DRS. There we go, and Sainz now really has to stick in behind us as we're now trying to make our attack on Lewis Hamilton just up ahead here, and 7/10 behind him with still plenty of traffic to favour us as we try and close ever more to the back of the Mercedes car and bring us back into contention. As we look a little bit further back here, this is Devon Butler trying to attack Noah James with one of the Red Bulls just in behind now. So Butler here trying to make some progress in the Audi. He goes towards the inside line, but Noah's going to hold it around that outside line. But it's now who's got DRS on this straight, or if none of them have got DRS, then let's just see how they perform. They both got DRS. It doesn't actually make a difference here. And that Red Bull car is now getting quite interesting to go in towards turn 3. That Red Bull trying to go out the inside. Devon Butler, which he does, and then he tries to go around the outside of Noah, and that doesn't pay off. Now, end of lap 8 to start lap 9. We're closing up to the back of Lewis Hamilton, and by the looks of it, Hamilton going a little bit slowly in this race. You can see the braking points. He's much earlier on the brakes than I would have anticipated here. So Lewis may have some sort of mechanical problem, which is costing him dearly. It's also costing me dearly because the other drivers are really pulling away out front, and I've got to get past them now. So onto the straight, we're going to try and make a move on Lewis Hamilton. We've got DRS Sainz here, who's got much better run than I do against Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton here, he's actually coming into the pits now. So Hamilton there, well, that was really close there. But Lewis making another stop then, so must have had then front wing damage if he didn't have a mechanical issue. Because he literally came in, we saw him come out of the pits like 3-4 laps ago. So Lewis Hamilton then already in major trouble. As further up ahead then, we're on board with this. Is Pascal Wehrlein now just breezing his way past Sam there, who's trying to make an overtake on him. So Wehrlein now is back in front of Sam. So Sam there is trying to fight the traffic, and in fact, we were correct then. So Sam, oh wait, hang on a second, that was some front wing end plate damage there for Sam, and that is going to cost him a huge amount of time in this Grand Prix. That is massive problems then for our teammate there. But what we noticed is that Sam did stay out a little bit longer on his strategy initially, and it worked out in his favour because he got the undercut on Reese and Hamilton, on Reese more importantly. But the big problem for him is that he's not going to be able to pull away, and these guys are just going to literally minx him up on a straight. I don't know what that was, just ignore my words. He's just going to get absolutely bullied on a straight because he can't build the gap. And there goes Pascal Wehrlein. Reese is now going to have a little look here at Sam. Reese might even have a look at Wehrlein in towards turn 1 here. Breaks nice and late in towards the inside of turn 1, but Reese manages to get only past Sam. Now the Jaguar of Hulkenberg tries to find a way on through, but Pascal Wehrlein here is now going to be under pressure from Reese because Reese here is going to have the DRS. Wehrlein shouldn't have the DRS, and this is going to be a simple overtake as we see now for Reese here, just climbing his way towards the gearbox of the Porsche car. Moves over towards the inside line. A little bit of contact between the two of them, but it's a fair overtake for Reese, and he makes it stick. And for us now, we're trying to get our way past Nico Hulkenberg, which we do just that. We capitalise on Hulkenberg backing out of an overtake attempt on Sam, and that gets us onto the back of him. And now we're going to go a little bit towards the end of this lap here, and now we've got Pascal Wehrlein, Sam and myself here trying to go for an overtake each now on the pair of them. And here we're just going to make a double overtake stick. So we get the DRS here, and we're going to go towards the inside line of the corner. And as you can see, flicking on through, there's literally wheel-to-wheel racing going on everywhere, but we make no mistake on Sam and also Pascal Wehrlein, and Noah James makes his overtake on both Hulkenberg and Gasly there. Sainz in the background having a little bit of a scrap as we now have a little look at that scrap. It's one of the Red Bulls there that he's fighting against. It's Mason Wood then. So Wood and Sainz going for it now. A bit back and forth wheel-to-wheel racing between those lot. As we can see, Leclerc now is trying to have a little look at Sainz here. He's got the DRS. None of the others have got DRS here. Sainz now pulls over towards the inside line. It's a 3-wide moment through here. This might get a little bit messy. Somehow they manage to keep it all together, and Leclerc then makes an overtake on Sainz. Now Butler dives it down the inside of Carlos Sainz. Sainz going backwards now in this Grand Prix, and he was running so high up the grid, and now all of a sudden he's in big trouble, as now Butler is trying to hold his own against the Ford car, and he does so just before the castle section. Butler makes the overtake on Carlos Sainz, and that's his overtake done and dusted. As for Sam, of course, with that front wing damage and the rest of the cars now coming into the pits, that was really close to contact there between those lot. It's unfortunate for him, but he is going to lose the position now to Noah James. The team obviously predicting for him to stay out to try and work with this front wing, but at the end of the day, it's not really working out in his favour, as up the inside goes Noah in towards turn 1. Sam will try and fight it here. It's actually a little bit more fight than Sam than I thought there would be on this occasion, and he holds it around the outside. So a beautiful piece of defensive driving from Sam, but unfortunately he's going to be powerless to stop the return attack here from Noah James as they go in towards turn 3, and eventually Noah will pass Sam and just be able to breeze off into the distance. Here he goes now, goes for a late move up the inside of Sam, and Sam isn't going to be able to hold that one. Now Noah will just get off into the distance and build a gap against Sam. On to the end of lap 14 now to start lap 15. We're going to be coming in for our second stop of the Grand Prix onto a set of super soft tyres, and our second stint is not going to be, or final stint should I say, is not going to be as simple as it seems, because the gap between myself and the two Renault cars is not big enough that they're going to go through and probably have about 8-9 seconds in their favour. So the Renault cars, who are on the one-stop strategy, clearly have got the best pace in the midfield and are really making the tyres work to their advantage. Yeah, we now have to overtake them on track if we've got any chance of securing a podium. It's got to that point in the race where, yeah, if we don't get those Renaults, we don't get a podium. So it may look like we've had a simple middle stint after overtaking all the cars, but we've still got work to do, and that's to pass a couple of drivers, starting off with Nico Rosberg in the Porsche then. So let's try and find a way past him then as he locks up in towards the last corner. Still gets a decent exit though out of here, and we're just going to follow him through. I'm literally not even using high engine mode. You can see I'm in low ERS mode here, and as we now go on to the straight, we are going to get the DRS to attack Rosberg, but again, like we said, of course, we're not actually going to try and make this a very, very easy overtake for us, because with the DRS, we should just have enough, as you can see, straight line speed to use lean and low and not bother wasting our engine modes to get past as we now break in towards the first corner. Ocon then is 2.1 seconds ahead, and then we've got to get past Daniel Ricciardo, who's even further ahead than all of this. So there's work to be done. Lap 17 of the Grand Prix. We set the fastest lap of the race so far. Sam is behind me on these super soft tyres, 3.7 seconds back. In fact, he's coming to the pits there, and I believe Sam is going to change that front wing as well. So he's obviously going to be a little bit further back now, but as you can see, we've got a second bite of the DRS here versus Esteban Ocon as we now go in towards turn 3 here. We've got the outside line that we're going to go to then, and as we break a little bit later than Esteban, and we close the door there. That's a beautiful overtake, that one. I love those type of overtakes where you can go around the outside and just swoop on through and claim the racing line. It's a lovely form of an overtake. And just a little bit further ahead, here's Reese now going for the race lead here versus Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to go for it in an unorthodox location, but Reese makes the move stick, and he now leads the Azerbaijan Grand Prix once again, and it is an overtake that he could have done with. And on to lap 22 of the Grand Prix, I have finally caught up to Daniel Ricciardo. It's taken a long time for me to get up to the back of the Renault, but we're now onto the back, and we're going to open up the DRS and try and get him on this pitch straight. But the problem that I've got is that the fuel in my car is now running low, as same with my ERS, so I've got to be very, very careful, otherwise I'm not going to be able to overtake and pull away from Ricciardo. As we go in towards turn 1, Ricciardo defends the inside line. We're going to go towards the outside line here. Ricciardo gives us a little bit of a nudge as we go in towards turn 2 now, and Ricciardo's just about stays in front, but we'll hold it around the outside line. Much better traction there, and we get the overtake done on Daniel Ricciardo around the outside of turn 2, and there's the confirmation that my fuel and ERS is very, very low, so I'm going to have to do maximum saving now in the end of this Grand Prix. And on to lap 25 in this Grand Prix, you can see I'm still saving here, and Daniel Ricciardo is happy to just follow on to the back of me here. And as we go on towards the end of this middle sector, again, I'm keeping it in lean and also in no ERS, and this is the opportunity now that Daniel Ricciardo is going to take, and I've noticed that now. He pulls over towards the outside line here. This is going to be a bold overtake if he can make it stick. He doesn't, though, make it stick. We can hold off that attack of Daniel Ricciardo. It's not really an overtaking spot. I mean, Reese managed to make it work. I'm guessing Ricciardo thought he could try and make it work, but on that occasion, not to be. But as we now go on to the pit straight here, we've got fuel slightly back on target. ERS is decent as well, 30-odd%. Now we're going to put it into overtake mode because Ricciardo has got the DRS here. In fact, we're just going to rich and overtake and just use whatever we've got, because Ricciardo is clearly using rich and overtake and also DRS himself here. So as we go in towards the final lap now of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Ricciardo versus myself. Ricciardo just eases ahead, but we just about managed to hold off the position. There was slight contact there. In fairness, though, this game, especially on F1 2018, it freezes a lot. When you can see it on your screens right now, it freezes a lot, so you know, it's not the cleanest of stuff there, but it's a defensive maneuver, and we managed to make it sick. And who doesn't have a little bit of wheel-to-wheel here now and again? On to the final lap of the Grand Prix, though. Crosses the line. Reese wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for Mercedes-Benz. That's his second race win of the season, if I am counting correctly. I've had 3 wins so far. Reese has had 2. Sam's had 1. That makes it 7. Cross the start-finish line. Wait, no it doesn't. I can't do maths. Ignore me. It's fine. We cross the start-finish line, though. After starting P7, we finish it in P2 after what was a great bit of wheel-to-wheel action there. And as we have a look at the full race results then. So, Reese wins the Grand Prix. He had a very, very good day in the office. And we managed to come home in 2nd place then. And like I said, starting P7, we had to really fight, and we got our elbows out today, had a great battle with so many drivers. In fact, the whole grid had a phenomenal race of just constant wheel-to-wheel action, and it was a lot of fun. Daniel Ricciardo picks up a fantastic podium for Renault, and it's great to see Ricciardo back up there again. Noah James finishes in P4 for Ferrari, and then Esteban Ocon claims 5th place for Renault. All in all, Renault's best day so far this season, and a really big boost for them. Lando Norris picking up Red Bull's only points of the race, with Pascal Wehrlein, a much-needed points finish for Porsche there. Beautiful 6th 6 points, and he'll take that all day of the week. Sam, unfortunately, finishes down in 8th place for McLaren after the broken front wing. He did get it repaired into the pit stops. He did set the fastest lap of the race as well. So yeah, not a best day in the office for Sam. Pierre Gasly finishes in 9th for Ford again. Critical for them as their battle with Porsche is going to be key. So 6 points for Porsche, 2 points for Ford. Porsche closed the gap, and then Lewis Hamilton gets P10 after again he also had front wing damage as well. And as you confirm, we confirm Sam has got the fastest lap of the race. Now as we go over into the second half of the table, Verstappen finishes in 11th place for Jaguar. A bad day in the office, you could say, for them. George Russell and Devon Butler, 12th and 13th for Audi. You would have expected them to score points today. Unfortunately, they didn't. Rosberg finishes in 14th for Porsche, ahead of the 2 Williams cars. Carlos Sainz, P17, again, being overdone by his teammate Gasly at the moment. Nico Hulkenberg in 18th place for Jaguar, with Charles Leclerc 19th for Ferrari. The only DNF of the race was Mason Wood in the Red Bull. And then as we have a look at the Drivers' Championship then after this race weekend, so we are now on 131 points, with Reece being my closest challenger on 109 points. Sam is then third on the championship with 86 points, and then it is Lewis Hamilton with 79 points. Lando Norris is now 5th in the championship on 47 points, 2 points clear of his teammate Mason Wood. Noah is now in front of Charles Leclerc, he's on 39 points, and then Leclerc on 34. George Russell, P9 in the championship still with 29 points, and Ricciardo moves himself into the top 10 of the championship thanks to his podium finish here today. That puts him on 28 points. And then looking at the Constructors' Championship then, McLaren are on 217 points, with Mercedes on 188 points. So the gap between them two still pretty close. Red Bull then are on 92 points, with Ferrari on 73. Renault take a big chunk of boost in the championship for them, as they now go up into 5th in the championship with 50 points, leapfrogging both Audi and Jaguar, who didn't score a single point today. Ford are on 12 points and Porsche are on 10 points, so those two teams are getting quite close to each other, with Williams, of course, only picking up that solo point. Now, with all the championships and results being wrapped up, it's time to have a look at the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after this weekend. We're going to start things off with Mercedes and Reece, who is delighted to dominate the race weekend. Reece managed to get a pole position and he led the Grand Prix and managed to win it. He said that he had a difficult time getting through the traffic, but crucially he managed to do it with patience, and of course he was Sam broke his front wing, which was unfortunate for him. Otherwise he felt he would have had a long scrap with Sam. Renault are over the moon with their best result of the season. Daniel Ricciardo claiming a podium finish for Renault today, and Esteban Ocon also getting a P5. The upgrades on the car worked absolutely perfectly, and at the end of the day, Renault were the best on their tyres. They made the strategy work, and they had the pace to make the strategy work in their favour. Charles Leclerc was left frustrated after yet another bad weekend. Singapore last time around was awful for Charles Leclerc with the crash with Carlos Sainz, and then this weekend again it didn't work out for him and he finished near to the back of the field, and he needs to regroup, ready for the next race. And Porsche and Ford are both happy to pick up points, with Porsche saying that this is definitely well needed for them after what has currently been a wretched season as they look to try and overhaul Ford. Ford saying obviously that they're glad that they managed to get those critical 2 points, which keeps them in front of Porsche in the championship, and they expect their fight to be ever closer. But that's going to be it then for this episode of the F1 Journey. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Next time around we're going to be off to Abu Dhabi for round number 8, so hopefully you can tune in then. And until then, we will see you for that specific race. So take care all. Peace.